We hope that it pulls a Chavez to kind of help balance out the rest of our... Ooh, that is not good. They're running the old storm combo on us. Hello everyone, TLSG here, back again with another Marvel Snap video. So it's that time of day again where we have a mystery card to pull, and then we draft a deck around it. Now, before we pull that mystery card, if you are watching this video and you enjoy it, if you like Marvel Snap, we're releasing daily Marvel Snap content. So if you enjoy the video, maybe consider subscribing. Alright, with that being said, let's go ahead and pull the mystery card, Red Skull. So he's a very powerful card, but we need to drop him in a location that is not going to have very many enemies there, or drop him in combination with Zero, our one-drop card that will cancel out the ability. Let me think for a second on what deck he'd be good in. Most likely it will probably be like a high-cost deck, or we save him in our deck for locations like Space Throne, where we'll be able to drop 14, they get +2 out of it, but that's it, so that we can kind of negate that downside. Okay, so for this deck list, we are going back almost to our roots, where we had the 35 power ramp combo video that kind of started our daily Marvel Snap content. But with this one, Red Skull, when you first think about it, that's a downside. That's a pretty big downside, right? Ongoing enemy cards at this location have +2 power. So how can we utilize that to turn the downside into an upside? We can do that a couple of ways. We can drop a Shang-Chi. So Red Skull buffs their monsters up just above that 9 power, ideally, and then we're able to destroy them with Shang-Chi to swing the lane in our favor. If that is not a scenario that we can go with, we can always drop an Enchantress on that lane, which is going to remove the abilities of all ongoing cards at that location, aka Red Skull. So then the enemy can think that they have all of this power. Let's say they have 4 cards there. They have +8 power that just disappears. And then, so it's going to be really hard for them to anticipate and read that power level. And that's the idea behind the Red Skull combo that I have in my head. And then we can always do a Zero Red Skull turn 6 for, what is that, 17 power? That's not bad. That's not a bad play in and of itself, if we're able to have those combo pieces. So a couple ways to utilize Red Skull here. And then we have the rest of our normal high power deck list. So we have Lady Sif, Ghost Rider to discard a card and then resummon it. Lady Sif will discard the highest cost card in your hand, ideally like an Infinite or an Odin, and then Ghost Rider will resummon it. Jubilee to pull a card off the top of your deck. I don't have Lockjaw just yet, or else I probably would have worked him into this deck list somewhere. And then our tech cards being Shang-Chi and Enchantress. We have Iron Man just if we need to bring home a lane and multiply that large power that we have, we're able to do that. And then of course Red Skull, we have Odin, Chavez, and the Infinite. So all very common high power cards. Odin being activate the on-reveal abilities of your other cards at this location. Chavez, always draw this card on turn 6 and not before, so this is a key target for Jubilee. Jubilee will often pull Chavez off the top of your deck. And then Infinite, if you played a card last turn, you can't play this. And then our one-drop cards being Sunspot. At the end of each turn, gain +1 power for each unspent energy. So this is going to grow stronger with each turn. And then finally we have Zero, which we used. I'm just so happy that we had 2 deck lists in a row that are utilizing Zero, because Zero is a high power 1-cost card, but it's just really hard to use when you have all of these really cool, powerful effects. And so being able to utilize Zero with a Red Skull, or maybe even some other cards if we needed to on turn 6. So like, for some reason, if we dropped him at the end of turn 6 and then utilized him with an America Chavez, we could do that. It feels good to have him in the deck. One of our favorite cards did not make the cut, Rogue. We almost placed Rogue in place of Sunspot, but I wanted a little bit more consistency. I know that we're not always going to go against ongoing abilities, plus we have Enchantress, which will be able to remove those ongoing abilities if they have like a double Devil Dino, a Devil Dino, and an Iron Man. We'll be able to use an Enchantress on that lane. So it didn't feel like it was worth running a Rogue in place of a sunspot where we're able to buff and grow stronger each turn for any unspent energy that we have. And so with that being said, that is the general idea of the deck list. We're going to jump in, see how it functions. Hopefully this Red Skull combo is pretty powerful. A 5 cost, 14 power card is strong if you can get around that downside. So we're going to jump in, we're going to experiment with it. Hopefully we have some good games. Okay, so before we start our first game, and I'm just going to pass turn 1 because we don't have anything we can play. And before we start, I updated and kind of overhauled my video layout. I updated the video quality. I updated the overlay. What do you guys think? Is this a big improvement over what we previously had? Do you like the look of this? Is there anything else that you guys would add to this? Please let me know. I'm interested to find out, because I did do several variations and I did some tweaking, and I think this is it's a lot cleaner layout than what we had before. And you still have all of the same information, right? And so I do like the way that this looks, but I want to know what you guys think. Is there anything additional that you would add here? And so I did go ahead and Lady Sif into Kiln, and it discarded our Iron Man, which is not a huge loss. We should be able to make it up. We should be able to either Ghost Rider, or if we don't, it should be okay. I was planning on dropping a Jubilee onto Kiln on turn 4. But I'm thinking now, oh, they got Blade, which they're running a morph, so it must not be a human. But let's run this deck all the way through just to let it kind of play out. But I was thinking of running Jubilee, which would pull in an America Chavez most likely. But I'm wondering if we don't just drop an Enchantress here. Because for turn 6, we do have the 0 Red Skull that we're going to be able to drop. I think is that going to be enough power here, though? I think we go ahead and do it. I think we drop the Enchantress and see what they drop or what they play and where they play it. And so they don't drop anything. They have Ronin, which is a pretty cool card. One that I haven't pulled. It's a pull 3 card, but it gets +2 power for each card in your opponent's hand. So the bigger my hand size, the bigger this card gets, which is pretty cool. It's pretty unique. I like the feel of it, but I don't know what we should do. I think we should play Jubilee and Sunspot here. Next turn we can decide if it's worth dropping our 0 and Red Skull and losing this Warpath bonus, or what that might look like. I think we have Kiln locked down, so I think we're just really distracting them in X Mansion, and trying to encourage them to drop more resources, because I think we'll be able to swing this lane with 17 power, but we want to encourage them to drop as much as they can here. Oh, and so we do get... So we get our Ghost Rider, which would resummon Iron Man, but this being the Crimson Cosmos, we can't drop 1, 2, or 3 cost cards. So we can't even drop our 0 here. I think we just Red Skull and then see what they drop, because we already have these 2/1 pretty heavily. This only getting a +4 power bonus, so it's only going to bring us down to 17. They still need to drop 10, 8, and then they'll need to drop some here as well. I think that's the play that we go with. And they're not dropping anything in these two, so unless something that they drop here pushes power off into these other 2 lanes, we win. And so it doesn't. They do destroy our Chavez with the Shang-Chi, but that's okay. It's not enough to swing these other 2 lanes. And so, as customary, let's get our first match bot victory out of the way, and then we can jump into some human matches. Okay, so our first match is going to be against, well, I guess our first human match is going to be against Zeshi. So in hand, we do have our 0 Red Skull combo. We have an Enchantress if we need to maybe drop Red Skull early and then Enchantress and do some other things with our mana. We have 0 and we have Infinite, so we're going to pass for probably the first few turns here, and it looks like they're running some kind of buff deck, so maybe some kind of token. I'm not sure. Okoi being a really good card to be able to drop on turn 1 because you're going to get a lot of upside out of it. We're going to keep passing. We're going to keep passing. They passed turn 2 as well, so that's at least something. And then we do have Subterranea as our middle location, so that means to me that we're not going to want to drop our Jubilee if we draw into it. Jubilee being really consistent as long as you don't shuffle anything into your deck, as long as nothing gets milled out of your deck. But as soon as something gets shuffled or your deck gets changed, it becomes really, really inconsistent. And I know that I said we shouldn't run it. I think I'm going to drop it anyways and expect it to pull a rock. So since I'm expecting a rock, I'm going to drop it over in maybe Shadowlands. That way it doesn't take up too much of our space. Maybe it encourages them to not drop many resources, and then we can kind of swing the lane with a late game Red Skull in that area. And so Jubilee, I anticipate a rock. Maybe we'll get lucky and it won't be. Okay, so we did, luck was on our side. Are they going to get a rock? Nope, they got Chavez as well. Okay, and their Chavez is a little bit better than ours. So for turn 5, do I want to drop an Iron Man in that far right location to turn it into 18, which would be a 20-point lead? And then even if they passed and dropped an Infinite, we should have that one locked down, unless they have something like an Enchantress, of course. And then that leaves us open to do a 0 Red Skull combo the following turn, or the last turn. So I do think that's what we do. So they do end up skipping. So this lane right now is a 20-point deficit, so they can tie this lane. And we dropped our Infinite, didn't we? Do I pull 23 instead of 17? Actually, I can pull more than 23. And just where do I pull it, though? Where do I want to stack those resources? So right now we have these two. If they are only dropping the Infinite, I say we swing this mid lane, and they're going to have to invest resources in these other 2 lanes. So this is going to be 3. It's going to bring back our Infinite, so 23, and then 0 will be 26. So a 26-point swing in this mid lane for this last turn is going to be hard to compete against. So I think we just drop it there. I don't see any reason to drop the rock. But maybe if they had a Ronin for some reason, we do, just in case, but I don't see that being the case. So let's go ahead and in that there. I feel pretty confident. They felt my confidence. They felt it resonating from within. So okay, so not bad, not a bad first victory. I wish it would have got all the way to resolution, but we did have the power. We did have the power play over what they had, even if they dropped their Infinite, because we were going to be able to cheat ours out. Shh, we're going against the Secret Avenger. Shocker. So we have our Ghost Rider Lady Sif combo, so it's always nice to draw into that or top deck into it. I think we play Sunspot into the middle location, an unknown location. Okay, so they changed Clintar, so I wonder what it changes to. Wakanda, that's not terrible. We're able to drop our high power cards there and not have to worry about a Shang-Chi. And so Hala is good to have already invested resources in, because we want to make sure we win this on turn 4 so that they can't compete. If they invest resources here, we want them to lose them. So we do want to invest over whatever they do. So I anticipate them dropping a Devil Dinosaur, which would end up being like, what, 14 potentially this turn. I don't really want to drop our Ghost Rider here. Maybe we drop our Ghost Rider in this left lane, and next turn we'll be able to choose between either, or maybe we wait and we let this absorb some energy. Next turn, if they dropped a Devil Dino here, then we drop our Enchantress to swing the lane. Otherwise, we drop Jubilee to try and swing it in our favor. I think that's the play. And then we always will have Iron Man in our back pocket if we need to. So is this a Devil Dinosaur? No, it's a Moon Girl. So are they going to have 2 Devil Dinosaurs is the question. I think that it's either that or a double Nova combo. So we are down by 1 in that location. So how do we win? If we pump out 11 power and they drop a Devil Dino, that would be 12. So it's going to put them at 21. If we do this, it'll be 8, 9, 10, 11, so it'll be 22. And so 9 and 12 would be 21, right? Is that our play? But then if they dropped a Devil Dino, they could drop a Devil Dino and an Agent 13. I think we play into anticipating that they drop a Devil Dino there. And they have priority, so they'll go first. And then if we can Enchantress their Devil Dino and get it destroyed, I think that upside goes to us. Is that a Devil Dino? Yes, it is. That read will probably lead to a concede here. I would anticipate that being a concede because they are losing a lot of resources here in this mid lane. It's really demoralizing to lose that much. And so our read luckily turned out correct. And so that makes it really difficult for them to come back into it. I think we drop our Ghost Rider, get our Iron Man out onto the board. And then do we ever drop our 0 as well? I think we do. I think we go ahead and drop 0 as well. And then even if next turn we we 0 out Chavez's ability, it's not that big of a deal. It's not a game breaker. So that one being Jubilee, do they pull in a Chavez? And if so, we may have to invest some resources in that lane. Let's see. So we're winning these two pretty heavily already. So we're winning this one by 10. That would be a pretty big swing. We're winning this one by 2. I think we just go with something like a Chavez in the right lane. Because to turn both of these, I think it would take a lot, yeah. They could easily turn this mid lane, and then they would hope that we didn't play any resources into Savage Land. But that victory and anticipation, that win in Hala, ultimately led to winning the game. Had we lost these resources, it would have easily been able to be swung in his favor. Oh my gosh, what is our luck, right? We drew into Lady Sif, Ghost Rider, Infinite, and Elysium, so we're able to start dropping our combo on turn 1. It's nuts. Fate is smiling upon us. It knows we're making a video. Some games you're just gonna draw into your favor, and it's just how it's gonna play. I almost think we hold Ghost Rider for now. I don't think we let them know how much power exactly we have, because Ghost Rider being a 2 cost whenever we want to drop it is pretty powerful. That's a lot of power for 2 energy. I think we pass again, and then we look at potentially dropping Iron Man somewhere next turn. Or do we drop like a... Do we drop our Ghost Rider here? Maybe we do, because this being the Dark Dimension, cards played here are not revealed until the end of the game. That way we can play the mana, we can get it onto the board without really letting them know just how powerful our play is. I think that's what we want to do. I think we want to drop the Ghost Rider. We absolutely want to leave 1 additional spot there, and then expansion coming in with Claw. That's not a bad one. I've had much worse, and then Deathlock. So they didn't get a terrible one, but I think we got the better end of the bargain here. For turn 4, I think we drop Iron Man here. For turn 5, we can always drop 0 Odin to make sure we don't discard an additional card with Odin's ability, and we get a lot of power out into this lane. Depending on what they play and what we draw, that may be the path that we go with. And so they did play a lot of cards in this mid lane. Professor X, so they are locking this one down. They are over it. They are done. That is it's a pretty cool Professor X variant. I haven't, besides what I have just unlocked, I haven't bought or gotten any variants. So I'm torn. I think we just drop Odin here. I want to drop Zero Red Skull, but I also kind of want to wait to see what they play. Because if they have a Shang-Chi and we have Red Skull just sitting out there ready to be targeted, it becomes really difficult to win. So I think we just invest some of our power over here instead of passing, and then we see where they play for this next turn. So they dropped a Destroyer. Not bad, friend. Not bad. And with Professor X being in this mid lane, of course, it doesn't trigger... oh no, and they dropped Zero, but they didn't have to. Professor X locks this lane down. Destroyer wouldn't take any of the cards out of it. So not a bad play, but do they have something that will stop us from winning? And I almost wonder if it's worth even dropping Shang-Chi here. So we have 20-something power in this right lane. We have 30-something power. I think we win this one pretty heavily. What can they drop here? If we drop Red Skull, they may play into Shang-Chi. No, they can't. So they may play into an Enchantress, though, in which case these two would win it over. And then if not, I'm torn. I want to destroy their Destroyer. It just feels right. But at the same time, they have priority. They're not going to be able to do a Shang-Chi to our Red Skull. So maybe we just let it play out. If they use an Enchantress... Oh, if they use a Rogue... I don't think we have time, do we? If they use a Rogue, we would have wanted to destroy a Destroyer. Is this a Rogue? Lady Sif? Okay, so far so good. Giganto. And so this is an armor. Whew. Okay. That could have been bad, so bad. And then they're going to drop a Ghost Rider here to bring back Giganto. But we have, of course, more power than that in our lane. So we do come out on top. But they had a really good shot at winning that. If they had Rogue, they would have stolen this Iron Man buff. It would have multiplied the 14 by whatever else they dropped. They had this lane locked down. They didn't even have to worry about this lane over here. So they had a good shot. I think we got a little lucky that maybe they're not running a Rogue, or maybe they just didn't have it in hand, or a lot of different things could have went wrong there, and they ended up going right. So again, a pretty consistent deck so far. We are at 121 rank. We started at like, I don't think I captured it, but it was like 119 and some change. So we have won every single game that we've played with this deck so far, and it feels sadly strong. It feels really strong, really good so far. I want to keep playing it and see what we can make happen. Let's see if we can keep this hot streak going. So the first location being Avengers Compound. So on turn 5, all cards must be played there. Xandar is not a bad one either, but we don't really have a major use for it. We draw into some of our bigger pieces of our combo. We just need a Lady Sif, and then we may be able to cheat out the 35 power with the Odin Infinite type combo. Oh my god. We're gonna pass the first half of the game, and then at least we know that next turn we'll be able to, at minimum, drop Jubilee. But oh my gosh, we have we have skipped so much of this game. I don't think I want to drop Jubilee here because we're gonna have to invest resources there next turn. I think I'm gonna drop it in mid lane. We hope that it pulls a Chavez to kind of help balance out the rest of our. Ooh, that is not good. They're running the old Storm combo on us. Do they have the Juggernaut to follow it up? This game, the hot streak, I feel confident that it is coming to an end. I don't think we can do this any longer. We're gonna fight it out till the end. So we do have a glimmer of hope. If they're running the Juggernaut here, it gets pretty iffy because they can shoot these cards over. We won't be able to execute the full extent of the combo. But If not, then we can potentially do Lady Sif. If it grabs Odin, Ghost Rider resummons Odin, who then discards Infinite and resummons Infinite. So we can really capitalize on this lane. We'll just have to see. And then turn 6, maybe a 0 Red Skull or an Iron Man. We'd have a couple of choices. So hopefully they don't have our Juggernaut. They're passing on turn 5, so they're going to play an Infinite. So that's good information to know. It's just a matter of where do we play to counter it. So they're going to have to. So we win this one very, very heavily, very heavily. So they are going to have to swing both of these. So I'm going to go ahead and snap. So their Infinite is not going to be enough. So where do we want to play? Do we want to extend this lead, or do we want to drop 17 power here? Now, if they do a Lady Sif Ghost Rider, but why would they have passed last turn? A Lady Sif Ghost Rider in different lanes, they could swing. That's 5. They have 1 more power. I don't think they can swing all 3. I don't think they can swing these 2 lanes. We're going to let it play out. I am going to split up our power here, just so that we can compete. They would have to drop resources in both of those to win. So we'll see what that looks like. I don't think they're going to have the tools necessary to win this. Okay, so they do end up conceding. There was just no way with how much we won that left lane. There wasn't going to be a way for them to push out that much power. So the streak, it continues. Even though our Jubilee pulled a awful Enchantress, we skipped half the game. We then top decked our Lady Sif and was able to do the good combo, the really strong, powerful 35 power in 1 turn combo. So I think I'm going to end it there. That is I think it's a 6-game win streak, something to that effect. We're at 121, and I really don't want to get too high. I don't know at what point the MMR would just solely match me with bots, and so I don't want to get to the point where it's hard to record these videos, and we still have 8 days left in the season. So ever since I got to 100, I kind of stalled out. I haven't played extensively outside of recording, and so most of 100 to 121, that grind has just been us testing and experimenting with decks. So overall, we've been really fortunate, really successful in being able to make these decks work. But overall, I am going to end the video here. Please let me know what you guys think of the new layout, of the new video quality, of the overlay, and of the content in general. There was so much support and positivity and just outright constructive feedback that I'm able to take in and try to improve my content even further so that you guys have a better viewing experience, and I hope I'm able to do that. So please let me know what you guys thought. If you enjoyed the video and you're not subscribed and you made it to the very end, maybe consider subscribing, because you made it through an entire video. That tells me you were at least somewhat entertained or otherwise occupied. Maybe you fell asleep, but if you didn't and you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. If you do like the video, think about giving it a thumbs up. It helps the video grow and expand, and it lets me know what you guys like and what I'm doing well, so that I can really focus on kind of honing in on those good elements and sifting out the bad elements. So overall, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This has been TLSG. Later, guys.